Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nic unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Howdy and welcome to Tradies in Business podcast.
That was... We definitely have to change it to Tradies in Business Radio.
Okay.
Because that was such a radio jock
We need
introduction.
a record scratch.
I have one. I have one.
Hello and welcome to Tradies in Business Radio.
It sounds like the school announcement system. You know, the school PA system?
Yeah.
Burn. How you going,
Thanks.
Coxie?
Well, I was all right.
You're not now.
You've hurt my feelings. I'm
Which
offended.
You're offended. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so just a quick little warning before our main part of today's episode. So it's a Friday episode, so you shouldn't be surprised that we will use some potty mouth words.
Lots of them in this episode.
Adult language. So that's one thing. Don't play this one in the car with the kiddies if they're not accustomed to hearing you swear like a trooper.
This would be a good one to play on the job site, though, providing the clients weren't around.
Yeah. So language warning for a Fuck It Friday. And the second main thing is today, Coxie and I actually talk about mental health and suicide, which we do a bit on the show. But we just wanted to give you a heads up that we are going to dig into talking to someone who's having those sorts of thoughts. And for some of you, this might be a little confronting or uncomfortable. So we just wanted to give you a heads up before we sort of dive into the main part of the episode. If that's you, or if you're a caregiver or support person, we do give the numbers at the end of the episode for Lifeline and Beyond Blue. By all means, get onto those organisations if you do need some immediate help, or if someone is in crisis and you have serious concerns about them, always dial 000, and the police and the ambulance will actually attend that as a matter of priority. So there's a lot of misconception out there about that, but yeah. Just be warned about today's episode, but we do also take the piss out of each other, so you might want to hear that.
We do that as a matter of course, but if you're hanging in to listen to this one, buckle up, bitches. It's a ride. G'day, Woz.
G'day, Coxie.
How are you?
I'm good now that our microphones are working.
We had a bit of a struggle, didn't we?
We were pressing the buttony things.
Well, yes.
Super technical here at the Tradies in Business podcast.
This is all because last week we were technical and we did it from a distance.
Yes, and then... No, something else. Why were you pressing the buttons with your sexy fingers?
Because I moved the desky thing.
Oh, yes, okay. Have we told listeners about your sexy fingers?
No.
Should we?
Go on.
Well, see, I know them as something else. G'day, listeners, by the way.
Clearly, this is a 5th episode.
Yes, this is indeed one of those episodes that you might want to not play in the car with your 7-year-old.
Well, your 10-year-old or your 12-year-old?
They probably have more potty mouths than we do.
Well, I don't know. You haven't seen me really fired up yet.
Not making assumptions or anything. See, I knew them as passion fingers, but that was probably the...
It's like the 70s name.
That was the 90s version.
Now you're showing that you are a little bit older than I am.
Slightly. Not much, though.
Enough.
Well, that does make me the senior business partner. Which means I still can't pull rank because I'm a boy and you're a girl.
You can pull rank.
No, it's 2019.
Oh, we did talk about this a little bit earlier, didn't
we? I would be much more worried about pulling rank over you than the other way around, I suspect.
Really?
But let's not talk about gender today. Let's talk about your sexy fingers.
Yes. Passion fingers?
Yes. So I knew them as passion fingers. And I'm sure that our listeners are familiar with what passion fingers or sexy fingers are all about. So we don't really need to go into the fact that you fuck everything you touch.
I really do. I'm very good at it.
I can't believe I said that on podcast.
Especially.
Yeah.
Go on.
Especially.
You got really excited there.
Well, I listened to a podcast the other day and he's renamed it. I can't remember what the title was, but he stuck the word radio on the end. And I thought that's how we can get on radio. We'll just name our podcast Tradies in Business Radio.
There's a lot of those.
Oh.
Lots. You're a bit late to the party, but I get it.
Okay. But at least I turned up.
It's your age.
I was going to say at least I came, but I thought that would end up somewhere else.
We're definitely in a Friday episode now, aren't we?
G'day to all of my non-swearing friends out there in listener land.
Sorry about Warwick.
I don't have any of them, actually.
Neither do I. My mother taught me everything I know.
Oh, nice.
Classy.
I still remember the first time my mother said the word fuck. And my brother and I were mortified. It was just like, Mum, you never say that.
No, she must have been
very
really
angry.
pissed.
She was very angry. We got out of the house very quickly. Anyway, today, Coxie, what the fuck are we going to talk about?
Actually, this is a little bit serious, but it's a bit ranty. So that's why we're talking about it today.
Ooh. Oh, is this what we were chatting about before?
Yeah.
So, 3 minutes in and we haven't actually said anything of substance yet.
No. Again, as usual. That's what the people come for. The waffle.
Yeah.
We did get some feedback once that there was just too much waffle.
Okay.
We did take it on board.
Stop waffling, Coxie, on our Tuesday episodes. But today, it's Friday.
That's right. We can waffle all we like. That's why we made fucking Fridays.
And this is Tradies in Business Radio. So we can do whatever we want because we are the disc jockeys.
We own the station.
We're the jocks.
Well, I'm not a jock.
Yeah, you're a disc jockey.
Nah.
That makes you a jock.
Nah.
A radio jock.
Also makes me a massive knob. No, thank you.
Maybe this is why we're not on Triple M. Because we don't say good things about knob jockeys.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, moving right along.
So we did want to talk about something serious, but I don't know that we've set the scene for that, have we?
Oh, maybe we have. Maybe it's the key that gets people listening to hear the next part of the message, I suppose.
It's interesting, though. Are we going to talk about the S thing?
Yes.
Yeah. This bit of bullshit verbal diarrhea is actually relevant in so far as when you start talking about suicide, there's all this weird, like, people's bums pucker up and they just don't know, can I say that word? Or, like, do we talk about it? Aren't I going to trigger somebody?
Good point.
And there's all this, like, tiptoeing around the issue. Even with, if you're listening to this, maybe you've had a friend who's had those sorts of feelings, and a lot of us just don't know how to actually be or talk about that topic. And it's weird because if you busted your leg, it'd be like, oh, shit, mate, how'd you do that?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
How can I help?
How's it going? It's like, it's not too good, hey, I got infected and I had to blah, blah, blah. And you just talk about it.
That's right.
Like you talk about the footy or the weather or your divorce or whether you've been thinking about the ceiling fan. And that ambivalence is actually quite helpful to be able to talk to people about it.
Of course it is.
So, yeah, we just wanted to table that today because we were chatting about this over a coffee earlier. Speaking of which, I haven't had enough coffee today, Coxie.
You've never had enough coffee.
I'm down on my quota.
We can catch you up.
I must be broken. Anyway, so suicide and talking about it, I think that was something that I wanted to make reference to is if you are out there and you're rubbing shoulders with people who maybe aren't okay and you're thinking, fuck, how do I think Robert's maybe doing it a bit tough, but I don't know. I don't want to talk to him about it because I don't know what to say. And what if he says he's not okay? And, like, what if the big S comes up and he's thinking about that? Oh, shit, I don't know what to say or how to deal with it. And so in most cases, people just avoid it and don't say anything, which is really bad because those people benefit greatly from being able to have a no bullshit chat about it.
Because you're thinking about it anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I know from my own personal point of view, there's a real fear around, am I going to trigger something? Will this then become my fault? What do I actually say? How do I say it? So much so this week, I actually, and this is where this big rant comes from, really. I started calling, there was somebody close to me that I was a little bit fearful for, and I started calling around a few of our agencies in Australia to ask for help. I won't name them, but I was really unimpressed with the help that I didn't get.
Wow.
I just got shafted from phone number to phone number.
That's it.
And eventually they told me just to go back to the GP. Now my GP's booked out for 6 weeks.
And these are big organisations?
Big organisations.
Shit.
So I had no actual practical support and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know the questions to ask. I didn't know where else to go for help. I didn't know where to direct this person for help. I did not know what to do.
I wonder how often that's happened to other people out there.
I'd say a lot.
And I wonder if it's because, Coxie, those organisations are equipped to deal with the person in crisis calling up,
Yes.
but not the caregiver or the support person.
So wouldn't they be able to say the same thing to the caregiver or support person that they would actually be saying to the person on the phone anyway? So, sorry, maybe I'm not explaining that terribly well, but couldn't you say, all right, in that situation, I would say X, Y, Z. Perhaps that's something you can say. Do you know what I mean? With all the professional knowledge.
Maybe they're not allowed to. Maybe there's a liability thing here.
Yep, that does make a lot of sense.
It's interesting to get to the bottom of it.
This is the second time I've actually had this experience. We did have somebody in business call us at 2 a.m. in the morning one night to tell us that things were shit and he was thinking about taking his life, and we didn't know what to do or say. It was our very first experience with it. So we just kept him talking for as long as we could, and eventually just he hung up the phone. And our next call was to another one of these big organisations. And again, they couldn't help us. They just told us to call 000, but we had no idea where the gentleman was. So what I actually needed was some practical help on how to address the issue, which is something we're going to tool our listeners up with today, right?
Yeah, and there's, I suppose to jump into that, there are various stages or phases at which you would perhaps catch somebody in that conversation. You know, if they're currently on the brink of doing something rash, that would be a very different response to if they've been thinking about it, but it's not, you know, they don't have plan and intent and means and that sort of stuff. So it's hard because I am assist trained, which is a tautology, but applied suicide intervention skills training. So they give it an acronym like everything these days, but it's basically suicide first aid training, and you learn about how to recognise the signs, and how to address that, and how to not to talk somebody down from there, but you know that's kind of the end outcome really, is to intervene and get somebody to make their own choice to not carry on with that plan. So that's sort of high-end interventional type stuff. And I think, you know, in that instance, generally it is a matter of keeping someone on the phone, getting them talking about stuff, letting them know that you're there, not pissing them off, not telling them that you understand when they're going to tell you that you fucking don't.
Yes.
And have somebody else dial 000 and get the cops out there.
I think it's a really good point or time to make the point that we're not professionals. We're just giving you our knowledge, something that we've both now used on several occasions. But these tips have worked for us quite successfully. Yeah.
And look, we're not sitting here telling you how to give CPR.
No.
We're telling you how to save a friend or a coworker or whatever. So we said it at the start in our intro to this, just a bit of a disclaimer and a warning about the numbers, some of the numbers that you should call if you yourself are in crisis or you're having those thoughts. And I just want to remind you listening to this that, you know, if listening to this is making you feel bad or depressed or, you know, like you can't cope, then please stop listening and seek some help. So go check out those numbers. We'll put them at the end of this episode as well. You can Google them. You know, there's all sorts of ways to get some of that help, I suppose. So particularly if you are in crisis yourself, but if someone you know is in crisis, then really it's about making them safe. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is you just got to do everything you can to make them safe, and I don't mean physically crash tackle them to the ground, because often we're not there when people sort of get into this I guess you'd describe it as the darkest hour, and so, you know, it's connecting with them, and that's why I think all this bullshit tiptoeing around the issue doesn't work, because you're not addressing the elephant in the room.
No. And can I say on that exact point that it's important to use plain language? Sometimes it's when you say the word suicide back to them that they really understand what they've been thinking about.
It's okay to say to someone that's telling you, and I literally met with a mate for coffee yesterday who's going through this now, and he's told me about how his marriage has ended and he's lost access to his kid and he's probably going to be financially ruined as well. And he's middle-aged, so it was a big change for his life. And I can clearly see that he's living with his elderly mother now. I mean, he's essentially out on his ass, and he's not very well, and he's not in a very happy place in his life, and he's about to go through some more shit. And I literally leant across the table at the cafe and looked him in the eye, and I said, "Mate, have you been thinking of suicide?"
And it has to be that plain and simple.
Do you know what he said? Was I have.
Yep. And then what do you say?
And I said, how long ago? And where are you at in relation to that now? Like, obviously, he's sitting with me physically in a cafe is different to if it's 2 a.m. and he's called me up.
Of course.
And he's bawling his eyes out. I can make him safer easier in a cafe because we're having a chat than if he's remote from me. But, he said, no, I'm all good. I've realised that I've got this and I've got this to live for and I want to see this happen with my son and this and this and this. And he said, it was tough, but he said, I realise that I'm worth more here than I am not here. And so to me, that tells me that, well, for now, doesn't mean he's fixed.
No.
But for now, he's aware he's okay. And so I'll be checking in with this guy regularly just to make sure he's still okay, quote unquote. And I think that takes a lot of courage from people who are maybe new to this or haven't had the training. And I've had a lot of training around mental health and suicide, and I'm married to a mental health clinician. So for me, it's kind of, and you and I talk about it on the podcast a lot, Coxie, not that it becomes trivialised, but it's easier for us to talk about it.
It is, most definitely.
Without sort of feeling that, oh shit, can I say that? Should we be talking about that? Should I ask this guy? Like, and there's a way to ask. You don't use all the slang words and all that stuff. That's terrible.
And it just trivialises what they're feeling anyway.
And you're still dodging the issue.
Of course you are.
You gotta have the balls to say, are you having thoughts of suicide?
Yep.
And the fantastic part about it is the reaction you get will give you some comfort as the support person, because a lot of times I'll be like, what? No, fuck no. What? No way. I don't want to kill myself. Shit, man. What are you asking me that for? It's like, well, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
And that actually can step you a lot closer to that person, because I think, wow, this person actually had the guts to ask me if I was thinking of taking my own life.
And cares about me enough to know.
Exactly. And you'll find, just like my mate did yesterday, that after I asked that question, the gates opened.
They do, right? It is, and this is, I guess, my problem with the whole "Are you okay?" campaign. It's a great question to ask, but so many of us don't know what to do when somebody says, "No, I'm not."
I know. Well, yes, and I think there's two parts to that problem. One is that what the fuck does "okay" mean?
Yes, great question.
It's so ambiguous.
It
Are
is
you
ambiguous.
okay? So when you ask me that question, Coxie, you say, "You okay, Waz?" I'll go, "Yeah, I'm good, thanks."
Yeah, rote answer. We all have the same, right?
Exactly right. It triggers a friggin' canned response that everybody has. It's like, "You okay, mate?" It's like, yeah, I'm fine. What the fuck does fine mean?
Fine means, well, it depends. If you're my husband and we're arguing, it means you're in some big fucking trouble.
Fine. I heard about that acronym years ago, and I'm sure a few more people have heard of this than just me. But fine is apparently an acronym, particularly when you ask a woman. And if she says, I'm fine, it actually means fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Yeah, that's me every day.
And I've just pissed off a whole bunch of women listening to this podcast.
And we weren't going to go into the whole sexist thing in this episode.
No, gender, don't talk about that. I'd rather talk about suicide, to be honest. And
it's
mental
easier.
Health. Absolutely. So, are you okay? What does that even mean? Okay to one person might mean that, I'm only smoking 3 bongs a day, and this is a really heavy episode, isn't it? Like, we've got drug references, we've got suicide. Right, we might as well talk about the gender thing.
We may as well.
Next thing, we'll start talking about politics and football.
I'm not going into politics, but
Or
football we can do.
No, I'm not talking about football. But yeah, it's like, okay is a subjective term. It means different things to different people. But suicide only means one thing.
That's right.
So if I'm not having thoughts of that, great. Let's talk about what you are thinking and feeling.
Yes, exactly. And like you said, it opens up the pathway for an honest conversation about where somebody is at.
That's right. And if you are having thoughts of it, let's talk about that.
Yeah, can we? So, but let's role play, or let's talk about what to do if somebody says, yeah, I have been.
So the thing to do is actually you want to establish when, how often, like get a bit of an idea about where they are at. And that's what I asked my mate yesterday. He said yes, he had. And I said, so where are you at with that now? Like where are your thoughts around that now? And he went, oh, no, I'm good now, and gave me the reasons why.
Yes.
And look, without going into all of the training, you're looking for protective factors. You're looking for them to say, no, I'm good, Waz. Like, I want to see my kid graduate from school, and I realise this, and I've thought about that. And so you're looking for what we call protective factors. Now, if you want to know more about this stuff, go to some of the big organisations' websites. Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Black Dog, Mates in Construction. There's some fantastic. I'll even give a plug to the dudes with the crazy shirts. Trademark. This is a conversation starter. There's so much good information out there on what you can do as a layperson, even if you haven't done the training and you haven't got a personal experience with it. You just want to know that person you're speaking with on the phone or across the table or text messaging via Messenger or something has enough reasons to not carry it out.
Can I just make another point that has come to me while you're talking? It's actually quite normal to have suicidal thoughts at times.
Yes.
Everybody has them at different parts of their life, and it's just whether they're intense and never-ending or they're just a fleeting, flippant thing that you throw away in your brain.
Yes. It's like, listening to this now, have you ever thought, wonder what would happen if I didn't wake up in the morning?
All the time.
Now that is classified as a thought of suicide.
Of course it is.
Right? But for a lot of us, it's just that wondering. It's like, geez, I wonder what would happen if I didn't make it home. Like that's very normal. And, often that's all it is for people who are depressed and mentally unwell is they think, I wonder what would happen if... ... But
it's the continuation of that thought into formulating some sort of plan or having some sort of idea on how you'd like to carry it out. That's when we need to intervene.
And if the person you're with is talking about specifics, method and plan and frequency and those sorts of things, then you should start to feel a little more like I should probably stay close to this person.
Yes.
And, if they're talking with you and you're engaged with them and they're speaking openly, then that's great. One of the worst things you could do, and there's a bunch of worse things that you could do, is to get angry at them and tell them not to be selfish or weak or anything else.
Gosh, yes.
That's one of the worst things you can do because they'll shut down and they'll go, oh, well, clearly you don't understand.
Exactly. And they become more insular and there's never a good result with it.
So this idea that speaking about suicide triggers people is a crock of shit.
It is a crock of shit because they're thinking about it anyway.
The thing that triggers people is making them feel even more cut off than they already were.
That's right.
So don't ever get angry at someone, regardless of how you feel about it, because you are going to actually contribute to that.
Let's not forget you can show anger in your face too. It's really important that you shut it down on every level. It might be that you need to sit on your hands while you have this conversation or do it over the telephone, but it's really important that you don't show it on your face.
And some of the other things that are really not helpful is trivialising it. It's like, oh, but you wouldn't do that, mate.
You'll be right.
You got too much to live for.
Yep.
It's like, that's your perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
That might not be your friends or your family members or your co-workers' perspective right now, right? They will get to that point with the right help, but right now they can't see that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be thinking those thoughts.
That's
They wouldn't be feeling as depressed or anxious or whatever as they currently are. So you have to get out of your own idea about, oh, you'll be fine, mate. You'll be fine. Just take the weekend off, man. You'll be right. It's like, no, I fucking won't. Right? And even the anger in my voice saying that is, I'm recalling certain conversations that I've had through my tough times in life where people literally just brushed it off and went, yeah, you'll be fine, Waz. Like, you got everything going for you, man. Like, you'll be right.
But you can't see the wood for the trees, right? And I think this is something important that we point out, because a lot of people are a bit skeptical about the idea, and they do have some negative connotations about why somebody would even consider suicide. So let's talk about what it's like. It's really dark. You can't see the people around you that love you. You don't feel it because you're so insular in your own thought process that it's impossible to understand that there are people out there that value you and love you, unless they are in your face telling you in a way that they can then understand. Sometimes trying to find a breakthrough with somebody that's in this crisis point is really challenging because they just can't hear it, they can't feel it, they can't see it. So it's important for you as the helper to understand it's not about you, it's about how their brain is working. So their brain has totally shut down. It's not functioning. They don't understand what's going on around them. They're just stuck in that horrible black place that feels like nothing but misery.
Yeah. And you can tell them all sorts of reasons why they should feel better.
Yes.
And all you're doing is driving a bigger wedge between the two of you.
Yeah, so true.
So, and a lot of us do that out of fear. You know, a lot of us just don't know what to talk about. And so it's confronting for the caregiver
Definitely.
to actually contemplate the fact that this person has had a serious thought about ending everything. You know, that's very confronting for a lot of us who haven't had exposure to it and haven't spoken to someone who's survived it or whatever. And we've had some fantastic guests on the podcast, you know, Jason Spall and Justin Gaines from Mates in Construction, and there's too many for me to even list them all, so I shouldn't have started. But but you know, they all say the same sort of thing. It's very confronting for the caregiver.
Yes.
Because we're not expecting it. We're not used to hearing about it. We're not equipped to deal with it. And so the thing you need is courage. You need to have the guts as a caregiver to ask those questions and be willing to shut your fucking mouth and listen.
It's a big one.
And not try and talk and make it all okay. And,
Don't fix it.
Yeah. So for blokes, it's really hard because we're fixers. Right? A mate of mine sent me a photo of his race bib. We're doing the bloody Gold Coast 30. It's more than a half marathon. It's a half and a bit.
Talk yourself up, Waz.
I'm very underprepared. But you know, we're doing this run, and he sent me a photo of his race bib, and it's turned up in the mail, and it's this plasticky stuff, and they print your name and your race number on it. And he said, "Shame it's so crinkled, and it's obviously got squashed in the mail." Do you know the first thing I sent back to him? Stick it under a tea towel and give it an iron, mate. Not, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear it," or, "Oh, that's really not very good, mate. How are you feeling?"
Yeah.
It was like, I sent him straight back how to fix it. He's
This
like, "No,
is how
it's
you
all
do
good.
it."
I've put it under a big pile of books." Like, we're blokes. We fix shit, right? Instead, and that's exactly what we do when someone's sitting there and saying, "Mate, I've been having thoughts about, you know, suicide." It's like, "Oh, you'll be right. Just go for a run, mate. They'll fix you right up."
Yeah, so true, isn't
That's
it?
not what we want to fucking hear.
No, and I understand the person giving that advice. They don't know what else to say.
That's right. Because, are you okay? Actually, no, mate, I'm not. Okay.
The weather's nice today. It's a bit warm.
Yeah, Jesus, humid today, isn't
So what
it?
are you up to on the weekend?
It's that's awful. Don't do that.
No, please don't.
And even if someone says, "Yeah, you know, I'm okay,"
Mate, you look like you've been struggling a bit.
you know they're not okay when
Course
they
you
say it
do.
that way, right? It's
You
like,
can see it.
mate, that didn't sound very convincing. You want to tell me what's going on?
If
Oh,
you
no,
are
not
asking the
really.
question, you generally know the answer, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you've got a doubt in their response, then you know what? As the person sitting there right then and there on the phone or the messenger or across them from at the table, you have a responsibility to actually dig a little deeper.
It's really not hard to do. Please don't be frightened to do so. It really is just a couple of questions.
It is definitely simple. I think a lot of people find it very hard, Coxie.
I think this is something that needs to be taught in our schools. Imagine if every kid that came out of high school, graduated high school, was equipped to deal with somebody who's not feeling well.
Yeah, and you know, we're talking about the sort of the dam wall here, where someone's gotten all the way down the river to the dam wall and they're about to go over, and you're like, wait, reach out and grab my hand. It's like, I can't.
No,
I can't.
you physically can't.
So you've got to jump in and get them. And you got to do that by getting over your own shit
Yes.
and having the courage to ask those questions and speak about it in plain language.
Yes.
And just look them in the eye and ask them the question. And just doing that can bring a lot of people back to the present and have them hear their own response of, fucking hell, what am I doing?
It's a game changer. It's there. Look,
But I agree with you about the high school thing, Coxie. Like, that would be so much easier because it's just mental health then. Just mental health.
it becomes another subject, another thing we take care of. We're taught how to physically take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
The kids go to gym 3 times a week because we've got to keep our bodies in shape.
Do they teach them meditation and mindfulness?
Not at all. Why not?
Do they teach them about how nutrition affects your mental health?
Not at all.
Your mood
Well,
and your
they have a
anxiety?
crack at that, but it might not be.
Yeah. It's probably sponsored by Kellogg's
Probably.
and Gatorade. But,
It was actually sponsored by the local physio centre.
oh, that's pretty good. That's
Oh,
good.
you reckon?
At least it wasn't Macca's.
Every kid got a referral to the physio that week
For their mental health.
for something.
What the fuck's that got to do with mental
Oh,
health?
I don't know.
Anyway, if we have these conversations earlier and, in our busy lives of social media and addiction to screens, there are so many things attacking our mental health, and we allow them to do that. As individuals, we allow all that stuff to attack our mental health. We allow social media into our lives. We allow our screens to become an addiction. We allow our diet to be crap and our sleep to be disrupted and for our businesses to be stressful. And that's why one of the massive reasons Coxie and I do this podcast is so that you as a business owner in your trade don't actually add another thing to the mountain of responsibility and the load and the burden, which is, financial stress and work stress and staff stress and customer stress, because you add those to all the other things going on in our lives, and it's enough to push someone into the river.
It's far too much. We have burdened them with one thing, though.
Listening to us.
Exactly. Isn't that just another thing to do? Get onto the app and listen to us once a week, twice a week.
People keep doing it though.
I don't know why. I'm going to be honest.
Sadists. Anyway, look, if you have someone in your life that you've got your doubts about, or you just think, if you've noticed a change, right?
Yes.
Change in their habits, a change in their level of social contact, a change in their exercise, a change in their energy levels, their mood. Maybe they used to text you all the time, now they've stopped. You haven't seen them at the last couple of gym sessions or footy training or at the crochet meetings, whatever it is. If you've noticed a change, it's worth reaching out and just having a conversation. Hook up for a coffee, and if they avoid you, that would be a bad sign to me.
It's a bit of a red flag.
If they're dodging you, sort of saying, hey man, we should catch up. I haven't seen you for a while. Just sort of be good to get together. Now, some people are just busy.
Or maybe I don't like you.
Overreact. Yeah, I get dodged a lot, actually.
I didn't really want to have coffee.
I get ghosted quite a bit. but I'm a persistent bastard. So yeah, reach out. And if you can't sort of connect with them in that way, face to face or anything, just hit them with the message. Hey mate, I'm a bit worried about you. Are you okay? And they'll probably say, yeah, they're fine. And you'll be like, I don't believe this.
No.
I don't believe you. Just go there.
Take the next step.
I don't believe you. Say it. Be honest. Friends are meant to be honest with each other.
That's right.
Family are meant to, but man, that causes some arguments. But yeah, go there. Have the courage to go there. Because if you don't, some of our guests they're living with that. And that's a tough thing to live with.
It is.
So that'd be my advice. And, just use plain language.
Plain language. How are you, Warwick?
I'm great.
I believe you because we just spent 4 hours talking about it before we started the podcast.
Yeah, we just downloaded all of our emotional drama and stuff before we hit record.
Yes, we do.
It's like, how you going? Oh,
Well,
fucking
actually-
tired. I'm sick of this shit, hey?
I'm exhausted. Is it Christmas yet?
But I know I was about to sort of stop talking. But imagine if we did that. I think I've spoken about this on the podcast before, and I'm sure I've written a blog post about it. You go through the checkout or you stop for fuel and people
I
go,
would so love to do this.
hi, how you going? And it's like, yeah, good, thanks. How about you? Yeah, I'm great. Bullshit.
I'm really fucking pissed off. I've had an argument with my husband. My kids are being naughty. There's no money in the bank. I feel like shit. That's what I'd say.
Next.
Can you imagine though how much it'd be fun to? We should get a camera crew and we should go.
Oh
and do
my
this.
God. we'll go into a shop and buy something and be like, hi, how you going today? It's like, oh, I want to kill myself.
Oh, that's really taking it to the next level. The poor kid on the checkout.
Oh, that would be mean.
It would be.
I'm going to get some hate mail about this.
We are.
I wonder if someone would dob me into like Lifeline for giving shit advice on a podcast.
Oh well, I don't
Bring
really
it.
know.
Bring it.
I think it's very good advice.
Yeah. Oh, just some people sort of see everything through their own lens, but
Fair.
But yeah, imagine if we were actually honest with people, and it wouldn't have to be that extreme. But it's like, actually, I'm not doing so great at the moment, and the other person could say, "Oh, really? Are you okay?" I'd be like, Look, I'm okay. I'm okay, but just having a tough time. Work's stressing me out, and money's a bit tight. But thank you for asking. I'm actually doing okay. Imagine if that was how human relationships rolled out in public.
You and I do that.
Yeah. Instead of all being so fucking busy that we don't actually want to ask the question because we don't want to spend the time listening to someone if they have a longer response than I'm fine, thanks.
That's so true. We've been conditioned to say, I'm fine, thank you.
Because then we can get in, get out, and get on with the next busy thing that we need to do.
Because life's busy.
And then spend 3 hours on the couch scrolling social media.
But I like social media. It makes me feel great as a person.
That'll get me onto another rant about people not having enough time for all this stuff.
Well, let's save that for another episode. Well, we'll be here for hours.
Anyway, we need to do the thing. So if you've listened to this and in all seriousness and you're feeling not okay, or someone who maybe isn't okay, please reach out, whether you're a caregiver or support person. If you are in a dark spot at the moment, there is help available, but even the word help I'm not a big fan of. I think there's people who will listen. There is people who understand is probably even more important. And that's what my mate said to me yesterday. He looked at me and he said, you know what, Waz? I actually believe you when you say you understand. He said, I believe you. I feel like you do understand. And for him, that was really quite comforting to know that there was someone who understood his situation and understood how he felt. So if you're listening to this and you feel like no one understands, then please reach out to organisations like Beyond Blue. You can get them on 1300 22 4636. That's 1300 22 4636. You could call Lifeline. They have a 24-hour crisis support and suicide helpline. They are on 131114 13 11 14 for Lifeline. And you can also, if you Google Mates in Construction, they have support services for people in the construction and building industries. You can message us here at Tradies in Business. We have actually had a couple of listeners over the years get in touch with us that didn't feel like anybody else understood. But based on our rantings and bullshit, they felt like maybe we did. So we've supported a couple of people and really pleased that they went and took some action and they made themselves safe and they went and got some proper help and they're doing great now. So if you want to message us, we're always available to have a chat to you or just a messenger thing so it's less confronting. But please reach out and get some help. And if you're a caregiver, don't be afraid to ask the question.
Take care, people.
Yeah, look after yourselves. Stay classy.
Ron Burgundy.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.